Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Hi humans! Before we dive back into the Brown Library, I wanted to remind you that we are a growing show. And like the 7th edition Dark Eldar Codex, we need your help. If you've got 30 seconds, a quick rating and review on iTunes would be amazing. Or you could share the show with a friend. Either way, we really appreciate your support. With that said, let's get to the show.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And a lot of weird shit. Roll to seize!
Welcome to Roll to Seize. This is episode 15. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and Warhammer enthusiast, Andrew Dickinger.
I will destroy you.
Oh, God, why? Did you drink that powder again?
I picked up the axe and drank the powder.
Did you not clean up the powder after our party? You didn't clean up the powder, did you?
Maybe.
There is powder in all of your pockets.
There's no powder.
You gotta take this off too. This old war gear we can't be wearing this stuff. If Greg comes back and finds what we've done with the place, he's gonna be pissed.
Fine.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me just throw this on your face.
Did I pick up the axe? I don't remember picking up the... Why
you
is there all this dust in my pockets?
Yeah, you picked up the axe, you were sniffing dust, it was getting real weird. Look, we promised ourselves after the 15th party we weren't gonna do it again, and I know we did it 10 more times, but we've really gotta quit this, man.
Oh my God, this place is trashed.
It's trashed, it's so bad.
Oh, even your favorite clock is dead.
He'll speak no more truths or lies.
Never spoke it in the first place, Jay.
Are you telling me I'm crazy? Whoa, did you hear that?
Where the hell did that come from?
That isn't the dust, right? I totally heard someone say name.
Andrew?
Jay.
Sorry.
All right. Well,
Jay is circling
signing
his finger in the air.
because that's normal. Oh my God! What the heck?
This guy just vomited on Jay.
Just vomit out of the air, and it vomited a black obsidian stone?
Thank you for choosing Chaotic Space Parcel Service.
There's a chaotic space parcel service? The CSPS?
How does that even, manage itself?
I don't know. You telling me there's a chaos god out there that manages postal deliveries?
That sounds like literally the worst place in the world.
Probably the worst. That's probably the darkest place to end up in the world.
That is the deepest pit.
The deepest pit is the Chaos Space Parcel Service.
It's right next to the Chaos Space DMV.
Oh,
They
God.
share the same office.
They share the same space.
The line that you're in literally...
Even Nurgle's like, I don't go down there, guys.
The line that you're in literally circles out of one office and into the other.
Oh, now that is truly terrifying. That's where the Eldar homeworld is. That's trapped in the
deepest pit of actual hell.
The deepest pit of warp space. But what do we need to do with this stone? What is this? Who would send this to us?
I don't know. It looks like it has writing on it.
Oh my God. Yeah, hold on. Let me just wipe some of this stuff off. It says, I know what you've been saying about me. I will lay the bricks of your destruction. Blah, blah, blah. Something about archways. I'll pave the starways in your buttresses? What does that even mean? Wow, really weird fan mail, guys.
Do we have buttresses?
Remember, if you want to send us anything, that's rolltoseize@gmail.com. I mean, definitely don't use the CSPS. I mean, very weird.
We have buttresses?
I guess. I mean, there's a lot of archways in here.
You got me, man. I mean, this room changes position every week. I don't know.
We'd probably ask that idiot Gozer, right?
The Gozer, what a moron.
The chaos god of architecture, what a loser. Anyways, well, I guess we should talk about Warhammer.
Yeah, I guess.
At some point.
So Tau.
Yeah.
Tau is finally getting their release.
Tau is finally coming to fruition. I believe in our previous episode, we predicted through using the time sphere over here that Tau would be OP, and as we all know, they're probably going to be.
I mean, they'll probably have some good stuff. I think it'd be very conservative to say they're not going to get good stuff.
They're going to get some good stuff. And there's some stuff we're actually really excited about that could be really cool for Tau.
Yeah, well, we're not going to talk about the Forge World thing.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. That's been discussed.
It's its own animal.
Yeah.
So of the stuff that's actually been released of just strictly Tau Codex, they are getting a super heavy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's very obvious that their giant suit with
the thing
missile
with no
arms,
but it has the missile
It has
things.
arms. It's just missile pod arms.
Right, they're missile pod arms.
It's guns.
It has a very difficult time with peanut butter jars, though. It's just like, come on, I blew it up again.
It's the T-Rex spot. It just can't grab.
T-Rex spot.
It can't open pickle jars, but it can shoot lots of missiles. And I mean, the one thing that a lot of people are going crazy about is like there's potentially a stealth Riptide.
That's gonna be super cool. I'm a pretty big fan of those stealth suits that nobody ever uses. I would love to see them integrated into a Riptide.
Oh man, if they make stealth suits troops, that would just literally make my day.
That would be awesome.
And then it looked like new Fire Warriors as well. What was cool is that it looks like they almost even have mini jetpacks on their backs.
Yeah, and there's a really cool theory about what kind of board-wide power they could have that we're pretty excited about.
Yeah, if they get, there's this idea that if they get charged, they can, or declared as a charged target, they can immediately fall back D3 inches.
Which is, for someone like myself who has a primarily assault army, which is Harlequins, that is devastating.
Those few inches are precious.
Sometimes you make a lot of your charges by 1 inch.
Yeah.
A lot of the times I'll make it by 1 or maybe 2 inches.
Now, the interesting thing will be, will that be like a thing that they have end Overwatch, or will it be like they can either choose to stand their ground
like
in Overwatch
one or another?
or choose to fall back? I think it's more interesting if they don't do both, if they choose one or the other.
They choose one or the other. And the rumor that Kroot might not be in the Tau Codex would be pretty great, because that might confirm our hope of having a chicken army.
Oh god, if they have their own codex, that like I would just be like, well, I'm done. This is all I need.
But yeah, at the end of the day, we're super excited for this codex. I mean, it should be, look, you love Tau, I love Tau, I don't play them, but I love their aesthetic, I love their fluff. I'm just pumped to see what they do in this new edition.
I just hope they don't overpower them, and the last thing I want is to be literally booed off the stage, because that's how I felt when I played 6th edition Tau. It's just like, come on, it's not game breaking, give me a break. I want to play the army.
All right, so let's dive into our Seasons of the Month, and for our new listeners, our Seasons of the Month are where Andrew and I will actually share our horrifying mistakes and stories from the past month of playing Warhammer, hopefully so you guys can learn from them, or at least laugh at our serious mistakes.
And there are many of them.
There are many mistakes. So, Andrew, what is your Season of the Month?
So my Season of the Month, in the last tournament, I was playing as Tau, as my drone army, to essentially
get one last hurrah in
my
there.
last hurrah, because I have a really unconventional list that's actually in one of our episodes. It's the drone sniper drone list.
Oh, yeah.
So I decided, like, because of the Tau release, who knows what's going to stay and what's going to go.
Right.
And, I mean, the things that I play with, like 27 sniper drones, may still be in the army, but they may also be terrible now. So
That's true.
Who the hell knows? So I was like, I'll just, like, play them for the last time. Well, my first game, I was against the Battle Company, which, if you're a Space Marine player, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, Battle Company.
But if you're not a Space Marine player, essentially what it is you get, like, a shit ton of transports.
That is the actual numeric value. Shit ton of Space Marines.
It says it in the codex.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Shit ton.
Please take this much. You're like, oh, well, I know how much that is.
Of transports, dedicated transports for freezies.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's a Space Marine horde army.
Which is totally in line with Space Marine fluff. They're known for being
hordes.
Tons of them.
Yeah, exactly.
When I think of Space Marines, I think of horde lists.
Their legions totally aren't a maximum of, like, 10,000. And, I mean, the trouble with Battle Company is they just, like, drown the board in so much objective secured that, like, unless you have the ability to essentially engage 7 targets a turn, like, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for my army, it's primarily anti-infantry, like sniper rifles and stuff. Mm-hmm. And when I'm faced with a wall of 11 armor, like, sniper rifles don't have rending anymore. They can only hurt armor 10 now.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, well, there's like a third of my army that essentially can't fight the stuff that's in front of me. And I also was dumb and made a last minute decision to take the firebase out of my army and put in a bunch of flyers and stuff. And it didn't work out.
No.
That meant that literally 90% of my anti-tank was off the board until reserves came in. And every single game I played, my 450-point Remora drone fighter squad didn't come in till minimum 3rd turn, which was just terrible.
That's sad.
So essentially, how it rolled out is I just got so outplayed because there was nothing I could do to...
Can't shoot those vehicles. You can't take them out.
I couldn't do anything to, like...
And each one of those vehicles is OBSEC.
Yeah, so it's like I literally couldn't do anything to 90% of his vehicles for the first 3 turns, and I'm just like, well, I'm just getting destroyed. So, like, I realized that there was no way I could get primary. There was no way I could get secondary. Right. And I was like, I gotta get some points.
I'm gonna get line breaker. You are gonna watch...
I did get line breaker.
Oh, yeah.
Shut up.
In their face.
In their face.
You showed the manager. The real moral of this story is just go for line breaker,
I also got king of the hill.
Oh, so many drones in the center of that field. It was like a frisbee pileup.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
it was
basically.
just a giant pile of frisbees.
It's just a bunch of frisbees.
Just a mountain of frisbees.
Who put guns on all these frisbees? Oh, these are drones.
But yeah, so the moral of the story is essentially when it's fun to do unconventional lists, but when you don't really think through what you could be facing in a very competitive environment.
And Battle Company is not rare these days.
It's top tier,
Yeah.
for sure.
So my season of the month is interesting because I'm pretty sure it's the dumbest mistake I've made playing Warhammer in years.
I mean, that's saying something.
It was colossally bad. 2 big mistakes. One a lot worse than another one, but my first mistake was also pretty bad.
I'm pretty sure I know what the big one is.
Yeah, let's walk through it. So, my game is I'm playing my Harladar, which are my Harlequins allied with my Eldar. It's a new list, so I'm in my 3rd and final game. I'm playing a Space Marine player, and they're using a con list. Now, this is a con list I was unfamiliar with. I didn't know it was a con list because I looked at it, and it looked like a regular Space Marine list.
It wasn't bike spam.
It wasn't bike spam. Now, if I saw a bunch of bikes, I'd be like, oh, well, that's con for sure. But, and we exchanged lists at the beginning, and I will say probably my first error was I didn't really look at it very thoroughly, but, cons mixed in there with a bunch of other names and stuff. I'm like, yeah, drop pods, rhinos, Space Marines, grav guns. All right, cool, I got it. So I set up, I roll, I get the roll to choose to go first or second, and I go, you know what? With my Cloud Strike, I'd like to see him pull everything out so I can get my Cloud Strike in second at the end of second turn and just blow some stuff away. So I'm going to go second. Boy, was that a mistake. Because this is a con army, but it's utilizing rhinos, which I didn't know that everything in a con army, even things in rhinos, and I think even razorbacks and all this kind of stuff, they can all scout.
I'm feeling deja vu from Micetic.
Yeah, everything can scout. So by giving him turn 1, which I should have taken for some reasons. One, I should have given my Harlequins, by going turn 1, I can cast Psychic Power, so I can give them Veil of Tears, so you can't shoot them until you're really close. Also, by letting him go first, he's getting a whole extra turn to get close to my army. So, to make a long story short, through the first turn he comes up, blows away most of my bikes, my Skyweaver bikes, who had 4++ saves at this point. They were 4+ invuln saves, and I pretty much failed every single one.
Yeah,
Then-
can't account for the dice going wrong.
Yeah, that was, my dice rolling in this game was horrendous. Still a bad choice to let him go first. Next, so my turn, my Harlequins charge up. 2 of them miss their charges against drop pod Marines. One goes in and kills the drop pod and Marines they multi-assault. But I also didn't realize I didn't do enough damage on the Marine squad because I didn't think cons can do hit and run. I
Yes.
didn't know Marine squads
Board-
can do hit and run board wide.
Board wide hit and run.
That's crazy. So my Harlequins, who can hit and run, I'm like, oh, I'm just not going to do enough damage to the Marines, so they're tar pitted in there and they can't get shot at. Well, they hit and run at the end of the turn, and he wins the hit and run first, so he actually got to move 3d6 away, and my Harlequins had to stay there and get shot. So this is the end of turn 1. Top of turn 2, he goes first, the rest of the drop pods come in, he wipes out everything on the board. So all my bikes, all my 3 squads of Harlequins, all dead. We both, me and the other player, thought, well, that's it, you tabled me. And we walked away. Now, some of you listeners might be thinking right now, oh, well, that sucks. But I'm sure a good majority of you are like, you idiot. And that is very true, because the worst mistake I made in this game, besides letting him go first, is that I didn't take my second turn. If you have the second half of a turn, you still get to have your second half of a turn, even if you don't have any models on the board.
Tabling doesn't occur until the end of game turn.
Yeah, and I and the other player completely forgot this, so I didn't even get my second turn, which, by the way, is half of my army.
It's the Cloud Strike.
It's the Cloud Strike, a huge part of it. The other thing to note here, this was a relic mission, and while this was going on, he was on my side of the table edge with all of his razorbacks, all of his rhinos and drop pods blowing up my Harlequins, which he did very effectively, but he had a small sniper squad dragging the relic all the way across the other side of the table. So if I had gotten my Cloud Strike in, I was going to drop him right by the relic, blow away those few snipers, and carry those things across the other side of the table, and he would have been very far away.
Essentially, you would have guaranteed yourself primary.
Yeah, there was a very good chance I could have still competed in this game, even though I lost a huge chunk of my army at the front, and I completely forgot about it. So hopefully my worst C's on this show, please don't make the same mistake I did, and try out Cloud Strike. It's pretty fun.
It's dope.
All right, guys, well, those were our C's of the month, and now we'll get deeper into the the Brown Library. All right, Andrew, what piece of weird lore have you discovered today in the Brown Library?
All right, well, disclaimer.
Okay.
This unit is considered, or I should say widely considered, the worst unit in all of 40k.
Oh my gosh. So
Now-
this is going to be like your Picasso of lists, basically.
I can honestly say I have no idea how this list would fare.
And for anyone unfamiliar with what we're talking about, in the Brown Library segment, we like to talk about underused, fluffy units that people vote on. They actually go on Dakadaka forum and vote for each episode which unit we're going to talk about. And usually we have to try to create a list around that unit. It just, this sounds like it's going to be a pretty difficult one.
I mean, you try to theme it as best as you can.
Yeah.
And try to, like, cover the weaknesses of these units, only because it's, it's a crying shame that some of these units never see table
Oh, yeah.
time.
Hey, I still would love to see a Rough Rider only army. I wish that would happen.
I mean, like, 60 Rough Riders, Jesus.
Yeah, and you're actually making the Top Gun list, right?
Top Gun list is a reality.
I cannot wait to see what that turns out to
10
look like.
planes.
10 planes.
Just the look on people's faces.
We do not just make up lists, guys. We dedicate.
So this unit, the army that was chosen for this month, was an army that's actually very close to me. It was
Ooh, I think I know what this is.
Tyranids.
Ah.
The space bugs.
Oh, space bugs.
Or I guess interstellar space bugs.
They're copies of Zerg, right? That's what they copied Zerg?
Wow, like I'm sure some like fans.
Somebody just like flipped a table or hit another car.
You may have just gotten a hit signed out on you.
Oh no, I'm kidding, guys. I know Zerg's copied Tyranids.
Well, Tyranids copied aliens. Obviously, Geiger's original design.
and Geiger copied the dark, terrible nightmares that he has.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Tyranids is definitely the worst of all of them.
Yeah.
By far.
Oh, yeah.
Holy God. They make all of the wildlife exponentially lethal, and they make the air poison.
Like, also, their weapons, like, if I get shot with a bullet or a bolt gun from a Space Marine, it might leave a big hole in my body, but when I look down at that bullet isn't also going to then turn, have teeth, and then start biting at other parts of my body.
Or burrowing into you and stuff like that.
Like bullets growing in you?
No.
No. Let's not do that.
That's like fire. It's like a gun that fires face huggers. Like, no thanks. No thanks.
That's an amazing visual. You get one. You get one. You get one.
Imagine how horrible that is.
Just shooting face spiders at you.
No thanks.
No. No face hugger guns.
I don't want anything to do with that.
I'm sorry, what did you design? This is the face hugger cannon.
Oh, God.
You die, and we're burning this whole place.
Yeah. Set
everything on fire.
Kill it with fire. But yeah, so the unit we're talking about today in Tyranids.
It's not a face hugger gun unit?
It is not a face hugger gun
Thank
unit.
God.
The unit that we're talking about is Pyrovores.
Pyrovores?
Do you even know what they are?
I don't even know what those are. Maybe that also attributes to the fact that they're never used.
Essentially what a Pyrovore is, I mean, obviously in the 6th edition Tyranno Codex, the elite section, which is where they occupy, is already so heavily dominated by other, I should say, one good thing and a ton of terrible stuff.
Right.
That they're just like, there's so much more terrible that all the other terrible stuff is like overshadowing them even. I mean, because literally, I'm a Tyranic player, guys. I build fluff lists. The only real useful thing in the elite section is lictors. I'm sorry.
Codex Flying Hive Tyrant?
Codex... God damn
Codex
it.
Flyrant?
Codex Flyrant is
Let's call it what it is, Andrew. It's Codex Flyrant.
The struggle is real. It's Codex Flyrant, which is ironically the bane of my existence. But Pyrovores, essentially they're like, if you know what a biovore is.
I do know what a biovore is.
Which is a heavy choice. They shoot like spore mines, which once again, they shoot living mines. I mean, like who wants to fight that?
No one does.
No, thank you.
They make your home terrifying. They make the air terrifying, and they make the bullets that they shoot you with terrifying.
Yeah.
Everything's bad.
But a Pyrovore is essentially, it's an artillery. It's living artillery. They basically fire space alien mines that if they don't hit and detonate, they just like wander around and then look for something to blow
They look
up
for
on.
friends. They're wandering around. They're trying to find bomb friends.
They want to give you space hugs.
I got a present. I got a present. I got a present for you. Boom.
But then, so this is like a genus of like a subspecies of them. Mm-hmm. So when Tyranids invade, they essentially have 3 stages. They have the shock phase, which is you have like gene stealer cults that were already there and essentially infecting enough people to make a giant psychic beacon to lure the rest of the hive mind there.
Also known as the birthday surprise phase.
It is
where all the gene stealers pop up behind couches and then kill you.
Yes, that analogy is ironically really close to what actually happens.
How many couches do they have on the planet? 15,000, my lord. Excellent.
Yeah, so then like as the shock phase is happening, that's when all the wildlife starts to like overrun, and then like you see lictors start to appear and take out key officials so that there's chaos. And then the second stage is the invasion stage, where it's like you have all the main warrior organisms come in and they're
finally hitting the ground.
They make planet fall and they just start annihilating all the resistance.
And at this point the planet has started to turn against you, right? That's the other part of their invasion.
Everything that's like part of the shock phase, and then in the invasion phase it's like full swing. Like everything is lethal. I mean, everything. Like they'll pour into the ocean and kill all the native wildlife, and then like birth their own ocean things that are just like Cthulhu things everywhere. Like, no thanks.
You know it's a bad race when they just make Cthulhu.
Let's just make Cthulhu.
I don't know, what do you think of Cthulhu in this one ocean? Yeah, maybe like 3.
But yeah, like that's the second stage, is wipe out all resistance. And then third stage is the feeding stage, where they essentially digest and consume all of the organic matter on the planet, which then gets sucked in giant straws up to the hive ships, and then they move on and leave.
They turn planets into giant Capri Suns, basically.
Yeah.
They just want Capri Sun on a global scale. That's all.
I mean, it's awful, obviously, all of this, but the Pyrovore falls into the third stage. It's essentially just a walking, living stomach. Its sole goal is to just wander around and eat everything. And it basically can. Inorganic or organic. Like, it has such strong stomach acids that it literally can consume anything it puts in its mouth.
It's like the hungry hipppo of the Tyranids.
That's exactly it. Ironically, a Pyrovore has 2 brains.
Wait, what?
The gun on its back has a brain, and the organism itself has a brain. Because remember, all their guns are alive.
This is the best buddy cop movie that hasn't been made yet. We need to get Pyro and Vor in a buddy cop film.
I guess you could call them that, Pyro and Vor.
Pyro and Vor. Pyro, you're too much of a hothead, and Vor, you play too much by the rules. We gotta get you two together. Pyro Vor. The worst movie
That's how
anyone has ever made.
So ironically, because, you know, all their guns are alive, like we've been talking about this, so it makes sense that it actually would have a mind of its own. The flame spout organism is actually way smarter than the actual walking thing.
Oh, really?
And it, like, the walking thing literally only has, like, the brain capacity to eat stuff.
Oh my god. So the gun on its back is living like a sad life, because it's like, I could do maths, I could travel the universe, and like the body's just like eat.
Yeah, I mean, like, so it literally just guides it occasionally, like, go that way, and then just decides, hey, that's a bad thing, let me throw flames in its face. And it just makes like if you've seen the movie like Reign of Fire, that semi-terrible,
the Oscar award-winning Matthew McConaughey movie,
dragon
it's
movie,
the perennial dragon movie that we all know,
with Christian Bale and randomly Gerard Butler.
Yeah, Gerard Butler's in that movie.
But yeah, if you've seen that, like in that movie, they had like explain chemicals combining and then creating natural combustion. Well, this is sort of the same thing, where it's like it's biofire, so it's like just a bunch of chemicals that react, and then it like makes a semi-explosion in its stomach, which then it focuses and channels down this tube, and just it's like fire.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's like acid fire. It's weird.
Of course, Tyranids couldn't just be fine with fire; it had to be acid fire.
Well, you think about
what a bunch of jerks.
The end goal. I mean, they want to kill the stuff they're firing at, but it's also pre-digesting
and
it
start digesting it ahead of time
to then eat up. You know, method to the madness.
Yeah, if you have all the kids at the table, the Tyranids are the ones that are already eating the cookies. Like, hey, hold on, relax.
So let's dive into the stats and why this thing is so terrible.
Yeah, I want to know.
Ironically, it's T4.
Okay.
It's, I think, strength 4 as well. It's weapon skill 3. I don't even think it has ballistic skill, because it doesn't need it. It just fires flames. But it's also semi-good in its stats. It's got 3 wounds, which is odd. But, I mean, same vein as a Pyrovore, but, like, it's a 3-wound T4 thing, so it's 3 Marines. They only cost 40 points apiece.
That's not bad.
And their gun is a heavy flamer.
That's awesome.
So, strength 5 AP4 flamer, that ain't bad.
So I guess we're waiting for the butt.
Well, the butt is, other than the fact that they occupy slots that would otherwise be occupied by better things.
Yeah.
They're extraordinarily close range. They're flamers only. So
they got to be right up next to you.
Once again, like a real simple fix for these guys, give them Torrent. Suddenly, people are like, whoa.
Yeah, Torrent would be pretty awesome.
3 Torrent heavy flamers for 120 points.
Can you drop them out of
ain't
drop
bad.
pods? Can you drop them out of
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll
Right,
get
okay.
there. But they have low leadership, so they're gonna instinctive behavior a lot, which is unfortunate because their instinctive behavior is feed, which means that they have to assault the closest thing to them, which means they're not using their flamethrowers.
So they're not using their flame tip blades. They're basically just charging at the closest
Yeah,
enemy.
which is counterintuitive to what they are.
Yeah.
Now, granted, their close combat isn't terrible. They are Tyranids, so like they have
Right.
decent close combat. They can sub all their close combat attacks for a single strength 5 AP2 hit, which is
Well,
like
that's not bad.
You think it's okay, but it's still only one hit. If it's the 3-guy maximum squad, so that would just be 3 attacks.
3
Like,
attacks.
who-
And weapon skills, what? You said
like
3?
3.
So yeah, they're still
It's like, who
rolling.
the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell is that gonna do? So yeah, how do you make this thing work? Now, the one thing that's actually saved it in some regard is the meta shifting to non-strength 8 weapons. So like seeing like massed scatter laser is actually great for these guys, because if they sit in cover, they're getting better saves than they'd have normally anyway.
Oh yeah.
And they have 3 wounds apiece, so like you actually have to deal a decent amount of firepower to get rid of them.
Oh yeah, and from someone I use Skyweaver bikes, I mean, just having 2 wounds on models is just significantly better than
Oh,
one.
yeah. I mean, it just dramatically increases their survivability. So I was like, the meta shifted enough that I think they're actually not that bad anymore.
Great.
The way that I feel them, obviously, you got to have as many as you can put in a list. That's for roll to seize, because then
That's how we do things, guys.
it's not a roll to seize list if you don't
if you
cram
don't
in
just
all of them.
fit as many of them as possible.
So what we take is we take 2 combined arms detachments.
Okay.
So we take 18 Pyrovores.
God.
Just 6 units of 3 Pyrovores, and you're like, well, how do you get them there? And you already mentioned the answer, which is the introduction of the Tyrannocyte. So they have drop pods now,
Oh yeah.
which is actually fantastic for these guys for 2 reasons.
Okay.
One, they have the drop pod rules, which means that you can't mishap unless you go off the board.
So you just do the old drop pod way of just close enough, 12 inches away. Here we go.
The other advantage to them being in drop pods is essentially it ensures that they get into flamer range, because unlike a normal deep strike where you have to clump up, this is where flamers are actually really bad, because you can't put them over your own guys.
Oh yeah.
It forces you. The flamer rules specifically state you have to cover as many enemy models as possible. If that means that you put the template over your own guys, you can't shoot.
Yeah.
So if they drop in a big clump, that's likely
Those
going
back
to mean
guys are not going to hit anybody.
yeah, that likely means 2 of the guys of 3 cannot fire, which is like, well, what the hell's the point? Now you put drop pods into this situation, not only can it not mishap unless it goes off the board, but then they deploy 6 inches out of it
And they're right set up to just flame as many dudes
wherever
as they need to.
you choose. So you have 6 Tyrannocytes for
So many
these
drop pods.
6 units of Pyrovores as just like enormous amounts of anti-infantry, essentially. I mean, that's 18 heavy flamers that come in.
Nobody will see this many flamers from a Tyrannid army coming.
No, I mean, like, I've always liked the idea of flamers in Tyranid lists because it makes more sense to me with organic guns that they have a ton of flamers.
They're kind of like dragons, sort of.
Yeah.
Space bug dragon things.
I mean, plus with their fluff of, like, dissolving and consuming things, like, it makes sense, like, just throw gouts of, like, caustic shit everywhere, and
Yeah.
that does half the job for you.
Absolutely. Why would you have, like, laser guns coming out of your back when you can just shoot plasma and fire?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, 6 units of these guys coming in. Now, the thing is, as well, is that you can give all of the Tyrannocytes 5 Venom Cannons for 25 points. The Venom Cannon is strength 6 AP4 with 36-inch range.
Yeah, it's nothing
Small
to bat an eye
blast.
at.
Small
Oh, really?
blast.
Wow,
So-
so this is really heavy anti-infantry.
Well, here's the thing, though. Think about, like, what we were just talking about in our seizes. A lot of the meta that you're seeing are low AV transports. Suddenly, strength 6 against an AV-11 or AV-10 vehicle is actually threatening.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And it's 5 shots apiece, and now this could be confirmed or denied by ITC, but I'm pretty sure they also just grouped ruled that now they fire like monstrous creatures, which means that you fire all 5 shots from anywhere on the guy.
Really?
They don't count as turrets anymore.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
So I was like, holy shit, like 6, imagine if your turn 2, you got all 6 of these guys in. Like, not only is that, get this, not only is that 30 strength 6 AP4 small blasts.
That's a lot.
30 of them with 36-inch range. That hits anything on the board.
Yeah, just drop them and just brrr.
But then you also have 18 heavy flamers coming out as well.
Oh my god.
I was actually thinking about this in terms of against Battle Company.
Oh, it would just decimate so many guys.
And I'm like, even against vehicles, I was like, that's still 3 ignores cover strength 5 shots per squad,
Mm-hmm.
and then 5 strength 6 small blasts, which have a lower chance of missing vehicles with low ballistic skill.
Yeah.
So it's like, holy crap, like you could actually like do a ton of damage to their vehicles.
You blow
really
up a
quickly.
bunch of vehicles.
And then you're just like densely populated with what each unit having 9 wounds essentially.
Oh, yeah.
And then a 6 wound monstrous creature with guns that just floats around the battlefield. And it's just like, yeah, this is actually problematic. I don't know how, if I have the firepower to deal with all of this. And then like you just round out the list, essentially just have troops as mucilid spores, so you have more things that explode.
I mean, even against scat bike lists, this would just burninate so many scat bikes.
Oh my god, you think about it, it's just like, well, because of the creative positioning, because they're drop pods, like you can ensure that like against say a bike unit that's in a line, say, you dump them all out so they all hit the full line. Like even
yeah.
just a 3 bike unit.
And demonkins with their beast squads, like you just burninate a bunch of beasts, and I mean,
any grouped up horde, you think about that?
it's true. Pyrovores.
So I was like surprised.
No
by
one
this.
expects Pyrovores.
No one expects the Pyrovore Inquisition. But then, yeah, you round out the list. You just essentially have 4 mucilid spores as just your troop choices. I had an interesting sort of dilemma with the HQs.
Okay.
Now
you were like, okay, Hive Tyrants, obviously the bane of my existence. I don't think I can take them.
there is one Hive Tyrant in it. Now,
Look, you have to take a Hive Tyrant in a Tyrannid list.
you just have to.
You kind of do.
So there is one Flyrant in there. He's got the double devourers. He's got the Haywire Flamer, and I actually gave him Fighter Ace, so he has the chance of he can be your warlord, get the extra wound, or get that where he leaves the board during the enemy shooting phase,
Which is an awesome
ability.
ability that you have forgotten many times.
Yeah, you shut up.
You shut up, Jay.
But yeah, I mean, like it's just a great all around unit. It's more anti-vehicle and
Right.
stuff like that. Obviously, this list will have a huge problem with things like knights and stuff. Like you're
But
not
look,
going to be able
guys,
to cover everything.
You don't craft a Pyrovore list to take out knights. You do it because you love Pyrovores.
You do it for the lulz.
You do it for the lulz.
But then the second HQ I chose for the second detachment, I actually decided that a Turvagon was the best choice.
Oh, really?
Because you stick him in the backfield, because everything else is deep striking.
Okay.
So literally the entire army is
it's deep striking in.
So you stick him in the backfield, because I mean a 6 wound toughness 6 monstrous creature is not exactly easy to remove in
No,
cover.
not at all.
And then so you stick him in the back. He's also spitting out more.
Yeah,
scoring
just making
units.
dudes. Bing, 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 bing,
So
bing.
you have them
getting those
cap-
home objectives.
the home
basically.
field stuff. You have them go for the home field stuff, and then you have the Hive Tyrant and all the Pyrovores coming in to just go for just literally flood their side with stuff.
You've created the weirdest battle company army for Tyrannids.
I mean, you think about it, they're all scoring. That's 6 scoring drop pods. That's 6 scoring Pyrovore units. I mean, like, think about it if you try to charge them. Each unit has 3d3 flame wall hits
oh man.
from chargers. They're
and
strength 5
they're
AP4.
technically in close combat. They're Space Marines stats essentially.
They're not terrible.
wow.
Like,
Pyrovores, guys.
Could this be a thing?
Could this work? Next project after Top Gun, Pyrovore list.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the huge glaring obvious weakness of this is, I mean, really Wraith Knights or Knights itself. Like, I mean,
Yeah, but it's also hilarious to think that a Wraith Knight, like, imagine inside that Wraith Knight, he's like, this is what I'm doing today? I'm killing Pyrovores? Just like, what?
and that's the funny thing too, is that you think about it, it's 12 units.
It's a bunch of dudes that thing is going to have to go around and kill. If you're running the Wraith Knight with the D weapon, the invulnerable save, and he's got like the scatter lasers, you know, on the shoulders like standard, I mean, those scatter lasers aren't going to be taking out other squads enough for you. I mean, you've got monstrous creatures all over the place, as well as 3 wound creatures. Like, you got to get into each one of those units and kill them.
Well, and that's the ironic thing, is that if you do have something like the Wraith Lord, where you have the advantage here is numbers. Like, he can only kill one thing a turn.
Yeah.
He's not going to kill something first turn, which means in a 5-turn game, he's only killing 4
Only
units.
4 units.
Of
It's
12.
Not that bad.
It's just like, well, if everything
While you're
else
burning
is dead,
all his other fragile things.
yeah, and you can't escape. Like I said, like the thing that's unique about this is that the Pyrovores are extreme close range.
Mm-hmm.
So you have them go for the close range stuff, but every single one of the drop pods is 36-inch range. So it's like they come in and they hit
Boom, boom, boom,
everywhere
boom,
on the
boom.
board.
And I can say, especially from an army that runs Harlequins, flamers are like my bane of my existence. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
that many flamers would just be like, well, I'm dead.
I can say, I mean, I you know, not to like crap on your list or anything,
Yeah,
but I
please
could
do.
say like that many, if a few of them got hits,
Oh yeah.
like did not scatter, like you could lose all of your Harlequin squads in one turn.
Oh, absolutely. I've been hit with just a couple flamers on those Harlequin squads, and they get beat down real fast.
Yeah, it's like their one major weakness.
One big one. Yeah, I mean, you hit clumps of my Harlequins easily. I mean, they're only 5+ invul sage. You're going to take them out like paper.
You know, this could actually surprisingly do damage.
You know, I was forced to make this, but in reality, it's not so bad.
So ironically, yeah, Pyrovores in the current meta are actually not as terrible as they used to be.
Wow, Pyrovores. That's amazing. All right, guys, and what's the name of this list?
After my boy Trogdor, it's called the Burninator.
The Burninator. Of course it is.
Because it's burninating the countryside. The last thing I forgot to tell you about them is they explode after they die or
Wait,
get
what?
wounded.
They explode?
They're volatile.
That's amazing.
When they die, the caustic materials inside them detonate.
That's pretty great.
Actually,
I kind of love that.
I'm now thinking about that. Against assault units, they get assaulted, they get 3d3 flame wall, and then you kill them, and then they explode.
And then you blow up. That's not so bad. Not so bad, guys. Pyrovores. Check them out. All right, guys. Well, that was episode 15 of Roll to Seize. We'll be posting a new episode every month. And if you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Now, you can email us any questions at rolltoseize@gmail.com. Definitely don't send us vomit stones through the CSPS. Or you can chat with us on dakadaka.com and help decide the next Brown Library segment. Search for fluffy/underrated units in the 40K general discussion forums. Of course, you can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram for tournament and model picks at Partial Arc. Thanks for listening, and your fun fact for this month is...
Time unusually has no meaning in 40K universe. Like, we think of, 100 years as, a lifetime, but it could take, that long for an action to actually take place. So, I need to exterminate us on this planet immediately. Immediately to them is, 150 years.
Yeah, it's, a really long time. Pointing at people on the ground, we're gonna get you, and they're just, towing. They're like, soon? Soon!